I'm sort of confused. I mean, I'm not confused with the way a lot of the parties involved are talking about it. I guess I'm just confused at maybe the way it's all being received. So let's talk 49er quarterbacks for a second. I made the comment on our thread earlier today that the 49ers are, quote, pumping him up. And a couple,
like Hans and Franz.
Yeah, we are here to pump you up. All right, that was back in the days when people used paper. But anyway.
Never mind, Grandy.
Anyway. So Grandy and Lucas are both like, I don't think the 49ers are pumping him up. And I go, okay, maybe that's overstating it. But they're definitely, along with Trey, sounds like he feels in good spirits mentally, good spirits physically. Everyone's filming him and putting him on social media like, look at the mechanics. This is last year's mechanics. And this is this year's mechanics. And
Big
I'm like,
difference.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe a little bit.
You don't see football the way we
maybe that's
see
not it.
football.
No. Please, describe the wide nine to me. I'm still trying to figure it out. But
I'll walk you through it. His delivery is much more concise. It's a tighter.
Compact, yes.
It used to be bring the arm back. It was a very long and slow delivery.
Right.
This baby's compact.
Okay.
Like a Honda Fit.
Coming out hot.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. I do think that when you have to deal with mechanics at number 3 in the draft, that's a problem. That's already a problem. Okay? You don't, like, do you draft projects? James Wiseman, Trey Lance, fine. Do you have to, like, teach them how to throw? That's troublesome, but that's not the whole story by any stretch. So everyone's saying the right things, and why wouldn't you? I don't think the 49ers are going to come out and be like, yeah, we're not thrilled with what we see from Trey Lance. What's interesting is you read an article in The Athletic, David Lombardi, and you said it sounds like Trey's going to have every opportunity to shine. And
you didn't like that.
Well, my immediate question is, what does that look like? What do you mean he's going to have every opportunity to shine?
Whether it's in OTAs or the preseason until Brock gets back, preseason games, preseason practices, they're going to give him a chance to run with the ones as much as they can to show him and show everyone that Trey Lance is not a bust. And when it comes to preseason games, if Brock Purdy is healthy, and I don't know if he will be for preseason game number 1, but let's say that he is, Trey Lance is going to get more snaps, more plays, more chances to throw in preseason to get him ready to help the Niners or maybe help another team.
Okay.
That's what I mean about he's going to be given every chance to shine. They want him to shine. They don't want him to be QB3 and be labeled a bust.
That's fine. I guess that's totally fine. I would never use the word shine if we're talking about practice and preseason games, I guess is my point. So here's what's interesting. I think there are two things that are really interesting here. Number one, every single thing the 49ers have done over the last 10 months suggests they're not high on Trey Lance. Forget their words, because those are words.
And you said 10 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So since
August or so. August, maybe a little bit into July. I forget the exact dates of when things started happening, but yeah, call it 10.
So then giving him the starting job is not, you don't think that was a sign of like, hey, you're the guy?
I don't think that they really felt in that moment like they had another choice. I do remember that before they even got to game 1 of that starting job, they brought this guy back called Jimmy Garoppolo. I do remember that. So start that day, okay? You hedge by keeping Jimmy Garoppolo. Then you get to the end of a season, injury-riddled on many, many different fronts, from Trey to Jimmy to Brock. They all end up hurt, okay? The most serious of which belongs to Brock. And in the waning moments of said injury, you start feeding behind the scenes to reporters, Brock's our guy. Brock's our guy going forward. Based on 8 games, and yes, they won them all, okay? But Brock's our guy. We've now decided this. Then, in the offseason, you signed Sam Darnold, who is a high-level backup at minimum, a big name, and also someone who is a former high draft capital guy. All of the behavior suggests you're not high on Trey Lance. But here's the flip side of it, the second part that I find interesting. Would the 49ers actually, because this could be unprecedented, would you actually have the number 3 pick in the draft never, ever, ever even get a shot? Has anyone who's ever been picked that high played 4 games and then, poof, that's it? Move on. Someone else beat you out, and we're never even going to take another look. And that's what's so fascinating, because to me, they end up in the same spot. Your behavior is suggesting that you're not high on Trey Lance, and your behavior is unprecedented in what you're doing, essentially, to not look at Trey Lance as the potential starter. Like, what has to be going on in the back of your mind after these 8 games to be so firm? They gave Brock Purdy the job while his arm was not even attached to the rest of his body and said, yeah, next year that's our guy, knowing that everything, all the resources had been put into Trey Lance. So when we listen to OTAs and Trey with the mechanics and he's healthy and we're still really high on him and stuff, I don't know. Your behavior doesn't match your words.
Well, your behavior matches your track record, which is we need more than one quarterback. And that's just a fact of what Kyle Shanahan has gone through since he's been the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. His first year, they had 3 quarterbacks start. The next year was 3. 2019, they had just the one, Jimmy Garoppolo. And then it was 3, 2, and 3. So the track record, whether it's because of bad quarterbacks, injuries, or both, you need, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you feel like you need more than one. You might need more than 2. And if you need 3, well, now you have 3. And in fact, you actually have 4. Last year, you needed 4, and you actually needed 5 because you got to number 4, and number 4 got hurt, and you were screwed. So I think that is a part of the calculus. The other piece of it is, of course, they're giving Brock Purdy the job. Brock Purdy has never lost. The only game he lost was a game where his arm got ripped out of the socket, his elbow broke, and that goes down as a loss, even though he didn't really lose that game. So how could you go any other direction than Brock Purdy? And Brock Purdy's going to be healthy. It's not like Brock Purdy tore his Achilles and it's a 12-month deal. He didn't have a Kyler Murray injury where Kyler Murray tore his ACL and he's out until maybe October, so you actually need somebody else. And the other piece of it is they have not given up on Trey Lance just yet. Trey Lance has been hurt. Trey Lance had the finger injury, which changed his mechanics, and then he had the broken ankle, which changed his ability to run. For the first time in his career, he's now healthy. So you get an actual chance to see what Trey Lance can be as a healthy QB. And if he's not any good, which I kind of believe that the Niners think that he's probably not the quarterback that they thought he was, which is why they brought in Sam Darnold. But if Trey Lance is actually pretty good, if Trey Lance can be a guy and you have Sam Darnold as a 3, well, you love your QB room then.
Well, we're sponsored by CalHope.org. I wonder what that phrase means. The 49ers have not given up on Trey Lance. You sure?
Positive.
Really? Because I think that a number 3 overall pick in the draft who has 3 first-round draft picks of capital attached to him, if you're not going to start him, you gave up on him.
Oh, they started him last year. Did they not?
But they're not starting him this year.
Because the guy who came in was undefeated. How could you start him this year?
You could certainly say that this is a competition.
But it's not a competition.
You're right.
Brock Purdy was undefeated.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying that I would do it any differently. I'm reading what the 49ers are doing differently.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're high on Trey Lance. I think their decision has been made. I think that they're going through all of the motions that they are forced to go through right now. But there is nothing that I've seen in their behavior in 10 months that suggests that they think that Trey Lance can be the starting quarterback for this football team.
Well, we'll see where he lands on the depth chart come August.
But you talk about how many quarterbacks they may need in the year.
Yeah.
Well, but that's emergency break glass. That's not we want him to play. If we need him to, then cool.
Oh, and they will.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Odds are.